And welcome back to day 2 of the previous for Throne of Eldraine. Carrie had decided not to join me this time. Perfectly fine, her prerogative. But we got a bunch of cards spoiled today. We got Robin Hood, the Lady in the Lake, and the Loch Ness Monster, among many other things. But first and foremost, we got a couple cards in, I'm guessing this is Chinese. Galebi Holy Warrior is a 4/4 for 1 green and 4 of any color. It is a giant knight, which is hilarious. It cannot be blocked by creatures with power 2 or less, and it has adamant, which means if at least 3 green mana was spent to cast this spell, put extra +1 counter on it when it enters the battlefield. First off, Giant Knight is just a hilarious creature concept in my mind. I'm wondering if the Knights of the Green are either elves or giants. I'm guessing they're probably mostly elves. But as a card, it's not terrible. It's a common. As a commons go, it's a pretty good card. A 4/4 for 5 that can't be chump blocked by small guys. You're gonna have to use some bigger things to block this guy. It's a decent guy. Like it also, most walls are actually not going to be able to block this because it's got power of 2 or less, not toughness 2 or less. So actually, it's a solid common. Absolutely, I'm not like in love with it by any stretch of the means, but I like it just fine. I have a giant deck, so I would probably end up putting it in there. Then we have Emiri. I want to say it's Emiri. I'm going to say Emiri. Lurker of the Loch. Now, it's not Lady of the Lake, it's Lurker of the Loch, but it's Lady of the Lake. She's a merfolk in a lake or in some sort of body of water holding a glowing blade. She's Lady of the Lake. Legendary creature, merfolk, wizard. This spell costs 1 less to cast for each artifact you control. That's right off the bat interesting. When it enters the battlefield, put the top 4 cards of your library into your graveyard. You may tap this card and then choose a target artifact in your graveyard, and you may cast it that turn. Outside of an artifact deck, like just in this format, like thinking seal, just like I'm thinking pre-release when I think format. Easy to get out with food. Tokens help. Honestly, it'd be easy to get out even without the food tokens. But even with the food tokens, easy as hell to get out. Is there enough artifacts right now to really... I mean, there's a solid amount of artifacts in the set. I just don't know if any of them are like are quite frankly viable for, like, some of them are colored. In fact, there's actually quite a few colored artifacts in this set, which I'm glad for. I'm glad to see them come back. I just don't know. You'd have to at least use multicolor with this card in order to make it really effective. But if you put it in like a artifact deck that's not just beholden to the cards in the set, then I could see it being actually quite a decent card. Because you don't even have to use her tap ability. You can just, well, actually, yeah, you have to use the tap. You'd have to use the tap ability. For a second, I forgot that the tap ability was part of that the 4 to the bottom of the 4 in the graveyard wasn't part of the tap. I forgot that. But anyway, it's a solid card. Bear suplex. Sorry, a picture of someone suplexing a bear. Because yeah, the reasons. 1 green, 3 of any color for a sorcery. Put a +1 counter on target creature you control. Then it fights a creature you don't control, which is literally Hunt the Weak. It is literally that card. However, this card also has adamant, meaning if you play at least 3 mana to cast a spell, the creature you control gets to be indestructible for the turn, which immediately makes it better than Hunt the Weak. Because it has an upside if you're doing something other than, multicolor, or it has an upside regardless. I mean, otherwise it's still just Hunt the Weak, but because it has an extra effect on it that's good, it immediately makes it better than Hunt the Weak. So right off the bat, it's going to be good green removal, that's for certain. Return from Clouds, an uncommon instant, 1 green, 3 of any color. Put target card from your graveyard into your hand. Then put another target card from your graveyard on top of your library. Exile this card. And again, it has adamant, which means if at least 3 green mana was spent to cast this card, return just both cards to your hand instead. It's a good card. Good setup card. It's a good recursion card, honestly. You're going to automatically get one thing back into your hand. Something major that you need. Otherwise, you're just going to, not otherwise, but And then you're going to at least be able to set up your next turn. And if you just use the 3 green, then you'll be able to put 2 cards in your hand instead. So ultimately, it's really good. There's not much more to say about that. It's a solid little spell. Lochmere's Serpent, which is essentially the Loch Ness Monster, is 1 black, 1 blue, 4 of any color for a 7/7 Serpent rare. Flash. Well, you can pay 1 blue, sacrifice an island, and this card can't be blocked this turn. Pay 1 black, sacrifice a swamp, you gain 1 life and draw 1 card. Or you can play 1 black, 1 blue, exile the top 5 cards on the opponent's grave, or excuse me, exile 5 target cards from an opponent's graveyard. Return this card, Lochmere's Serpent, from your graveyard to your hand, and activate the ability only time you could cast a sorcery. So this is a pretty beefy guy. He's a 7/7 for 6 with no downside with flash. So right off the bat, instant and out into an attacking creature. Giant monster serpent is in the way. So right off the bat, great card in that sense. Then you add the sacrifice abilities. Now, initially, I wasn't too keen on this because I don't like getting rid of my land. But that said, this card is kind of designed. The blue part of this card is kind of designed as a finisher. Most of the time, unless someone pacifies this or something, most of the time you're going to use the blue just to finish him off. Because it makes it a 7/7 unblockable if you sacrifice an island. So, frankly, that's going to be the way you finish him off most of the time. This is going to be a quick finisher in like pre-release and stuff like that. I mean, you could sacrifice a swamp, gain 1 life, and draw 1 card. That's solid too, absolutely. And you can do these effects multiple times. Obviously, you wouldn't be using the sacrifice the island, make it unblockable multiple times a turn. But the black, if you need to, yeah, go ahead. And then it can be brought back too. You exile 5 target cards from an opponent's graveyard and return this card from your grave to your hand. So, yeah, I can really get behind this card. Again, I'd probably use it mostly for the blue and the black blue effect. I wouldn't be using the black very much, but still, it's hey, count me in if I pull that. If I'm in the pre-release, which again, there's no guarantee I'm going to be able to go this time around, which sucks. But if I am in the pre-release and I get this guy in one of my packs, you better believe I'll be tempted to be in black blue. Yeah, you better believe it. What is it? Oh, Follow the Crumbs, I believe is the name of the card. Basically, the Hansel and Gretel-esque card. And for some, I can't read this one without enlarging it because it's in Spanish, and I'm trying to, but for some reason the site's being really slow on me. Wait, we have a special guest appearance, and now the site itself is being 100% slow with me. I had to... Oh, that's just irritating. Wait a minute, there it is. So, and let me see if... so I'll put... sure. And I'm fresh as a daisy right now. Okay. Sorry, never mind. But it's Trail of Crumbs is what the name of the card is. Enchantment. And there's your 1 minute cameo, folks. Yeah. Uncommon enchantment, 1 rare, 1 green, 1 of any color. Enters the battlefield to create a food token. I'm gonna guess it's probably gonna look like bread. Whenever you sacrifice a food token, you may pay 1 of any color. Note, this does not say sacrifice a food token. But you sacrifice food tokens in general. So whenever you sacrifice a food token, you may pay 1 extra. If you do, look at the top 2 cards of your library, reveal a permanent card from among them, put it into your hand, and put the rest on the bottom of your library in any order. There are other cards that make, and that we'll actually get to even later on, that make, and that we've seen so far, that do make you just sacrifice them in general. You don't pay the mana to do so you don't gain the life. On the whole, though, I'm not a big fan of these cards because that's just investing resources overall. And you can't guarantee you're even going to get a permanent in those 2 cards you're going to have there. So I'm not a big fan of it myself, but that's not to say that either someone isn't a fan of it, I suppose. Curious Pair, which is again focusing on Hansel and Gretel. Curious Pair is a 1/3, 1 green, 1 of any color, human peasant. But you could also go Commissary Treats, 1 green, the adventure sorcery, create a food token. pretty simple, honestly. I mean, on turn 1, you get green, get a food token, and then I find the flavor text on this pretty interesting. It's gingerbread like mother's. There's nothing to be afraid of. Yeah, sure. Then you get a 1/3 on your next turn. Granted, it's a 1/3 that does not do anything, but as a common adventure spell, I could see it being worse. I am interested to see if there's a mythic adventure spell. That I'm going to be interested to see what exactly that thing's going to do. Seeing as they have only so much flavor room to put text on there. Convitus Urge. Now this shows that not all the 4 mono hybrid cards are going to be creatures, which kind of sucks in my opinion. I would have liked to have seen what the creature could have been. But it's, again, 4 hybrid mana, this time in Dimir, black-blue. Sorcery, uncommon. Choose target opponent. That player reveals his or her hand. You choose a non-land card from that player's graveyard or hand. Wait, what? Reveals their hand. You choose a non-land card from that player's graveyard or hand and exile it. As long as it remains exiled, you may cast that card and spend mana as though it were mana of any type to cast it. And seeing as there's really no way to get things back from exile, at least I don't think in this set yet. Okay, so basically you're getting a free card from them. I can see a lot of bad crap happening with that card, so yeah, good for them. It's a good card, ultimately. I can see in a control deck and some of my decks, I can definitely see it being used. Clackbridge Troll. This is basically the Billy Goat's Gruff Tail. 2 black, 3 of any color for an 8/8 rare troll creature, not legendary. Haste and Trample. When it enters the battlefield, target opponent creates 3 0/1 goat creature tokens. At the beginning of combat on your turn, any opponent may sacrifice a creature, and if a player does, tap Clackbridge Troll. You gain 3 life and you draw a card. Now see, this is the kind of card I love. This is a pressure card right here. So it's a little bit of a control card too. Because what it is you're immediately getting the 8/8 for 5, Haste and Trample. Benefits galore. You give them 0/1 goats, and they probably have other creatures too. But you are forcing them to get rid of resources. That's exactly what's going on here. Is that you're forcing to get rid of creatures. They can't sacrifice anything else but creatures. So they run out of creatures. Plus, you'll have other cards destroying creatures. I'm certain. Eventually, they're not going to be able to stop this thing. And even when they are stopping this thing, you're getting 3 life and you're drawing a card, which will help you long term, probably putting other creatures on the field. And if you can have multiples of these guys on the field, then you have a very quick engine that's going to screw your opponent over if they can't do crap. I've said it last video, but I'll say it again. I've said it before. I'm not a big black player. I mean, I make black decks, absolutely. I make decks that have black in them, but it is my least favorite color. But when I see a black card I like, I will say I see a black card I like, and I see a black card I like. Speaking of trolls, by the way, Feasting Troll King is 4 green, 2 of any color for a 7/6 rare troll noble. That is a creature type. Vigilance Trample. When it enters the battlefield, if you cast it from your hand, you create 3 food tokens. Sacrifice 3 foods. Return this card from your graveyard to the battlefield. Activates ability only during your turn. So this is, if you're somehow in the, and this is weird. Here's a sentence I never thought I'd say in Magic. If you're in the food deck, this card will definitely be a beast in there. You're guaranteed to get at least 1 activation of it, provided they don't destroy food at all. Again, that's a weird statement to say in this set. This sounds like food sounds like an thing, but it's not. It's an illegitimate set. Just the ends are legitimate sets, but you understand what I mean. But look, it's the callback to something like Mossbridge Troll, which could not be killed. Like, you had to exile that son of a bitch. Otherwise, it cannot be killed. Basically, trolls essentially are supposed to be high regenerators. They should be able to continually come back. But because regeneration's been taken off the list of things that are going to show up in sets anymore, they have to find new ways around there. If you can continually bring food out, and by the way, you don't have to do it the turn it dies. You can wait on getting more food and then bringing the troll back out. And trust me, I'd rather have a 7/6 Vigilance Trample than gain 9 life through 6 mana. Frankly, that's the value there is pretty obvious which one you want more. So I love Feasting Troll King. If I'm in green, let me rephrase that. If I'm in mono green, definitely. If I'm in a green other color deck, maybe, because that's going to be the one big problem with this card, is that this card is not going to fit well in any sort of large multiplayer deck or multicolored deck. At best you're going to want to stick with 2 colors, because it costs. There's a reason this card's probably cost the way it does, because being able to bring yourself back constantly is going to be a big thing. Now pair this guy with Oko, who can just continually make food all he wants, and then you have a guy who's going to win you a lot of games. But to be fair, it's going to be hard to kill this guy anyway. He's just that big and powerful. There's cards that do it, but still. Robber of the Rich is 1 red, 1 of any color for a 2/2 human archer rogue mythic rare creature with reach and haste. Now, whenever it attacks a defending player, and the defending whenever it attacks, if the defending player has more cards in their hand than you, exile the top card of their library. During any turn you attacked with this card, you may cast that card and may spend mana as though or mana of any color to cast that spell. This is good. Like turn 2, it's very hard to get a creature out on turn 1. Turn 2 is more likely, but even then you may have to wait an extra turn. If this guy comes out in turn 2, you're immediately going to be able to swing in for 2. It has reach, which is interesting. It taps though. You're going to be able to mill a card off their library that they're not going to be able to use. And then so long as you've attacked in a turn, you'll be able to use the card later on in the future. It's a good card. I can see why it's mythic, because using your opponent's stuff is a pretty powerful ability. But that being said, it's going to die pretty quick. It's a 2/2. It doesn't have any protection, so it's going to die pretty quick. But for the 1 or 2 times you'll be able to get the effect off, it'll be good. Wildborn Preserver is an elf archer, which costs 1 green, 1 of any color, and it's a 2/2. It is rare and has flash and reach. Whenever another non-human creature enters the battlefield under your control, you may pay X, and when you do, put X plus 1 counters on this card. I'm indifferent on this card, if I'm going to be honest. It's now in an elf deck, I can see it working out. A lot of elves are pretty cheap, and late game, this guy will probably become a huge, massive beater. But that's the problem, is it's a beater. It's not a Feasting Troll King that has trample. It's got reach and flash. I'll be honest too, why it has the flash, I don't actually know. The flash doesn't really make any sense given its other abilities. I mean, it's good, don't get me wrong. You'll be able to pump it up. If you can give it trample, or like flying or something like that, an evasion effect, then you're going to be in business with this guy. But as it stands, it's just kind of okay. It's not amazing, but it's not terrible. Let's see here. What else we got? We got quite a few more, actually. Well, not quite a few more. We got a few more. Hypnotic Sprite, which has the alternate cast art, which looks great. 2 blue for a 2/1 flying fairy. Or you can pay 1 blue, 2 of any color, to activate the mesmeric glare. Ugh. Counter target creature spell, convert a mock, cost 3 or less. You're going to use it definitely for the counter spell first. If you're in blue, you'll use the counter spell, and then you'll get the creature later on, so just wait it out. Honestly, it works out perfectly, because on their turn, you play the spell. And it shows, actually, by the way, that the adventures can be on instances as well, which is very important. Instances. I was having trouble with that word. So, but yeah, and this works out. And that's the reason this is uncommon. Counter, the next turn you get the fairy. Works out perfectly. So, good card, definitely. Weaselback Redcap is 1 red for a Goblin Knight, uncommon, 1/1. You can pay 1 of any color, 1 red, to give it +2/+0 until the end of turn. Turn 1, play this. Turn 2, you can pump it to a 3/1. It's reasonable. There's nothing wrong with it. Roving Keep is 7 any color for a common wall artifact creature, 5/7 defender. You can pay 7, give it +2/+2, gains trample till the end of turn, and it can attack this turn as though it didn't have a defender. So essentially, you could turn by basically paying 7, you could turn into a 7/7 trample I can see why it's common. It's not amazing. It's going to be a good little filler beater card, though, definitely. But the problem is there are better cards in here where you don't have to pay the mana just to attack. The Troll, for example, is cheaper. Granted, it's in the colors, and a lot of colors, but still ultimately a better card, I think. Again, though, I could see it being a filler card. It's not terrible. Worthy Knight is 1 white, 1 of any color for a rare human knight. 2/2. Whenever you cast a creature spell, create a 1/1 white human creature token. Or excuse me, whenever you cast a knight spell, sorry. If it were a creature spell, this thing would have been mythic. A knight spell, you create a human. In the knight deck, this thing's going to go wild. And you can have multiple copies of it on the field, too. So that's going to stack fast. I usually kind of... Usually at this point, I can kind of gather whether or not I'm going to get a box of a set or not. The first time I had gotten a box in years was with War of the Spark, and I'm glad I did. I got all the cards, pretty much all the cards I wanted out of that, which is what allowed me to make my Planeswalker deck. With this, I'll be honest, I'm getting on the tempted side. I don't think I'm quite there yet, but a couple more days of previews, I'll probably be there. Definitely one thing I want to see, though. In the Brawl deck, we had a dragon. But that's the Brawl deck. That's not in the actual set. So I need to see a dragon right now. I need to see a dragon, and I need to see what that dragon does. But yeah, Sircar the Bold. Now, Sir is not S-I-R, it's S-Y-R, but it's still pronounced the same. And Sirs can be women in this world, which is cool. 2 red, 3 of any color for a 3/3 legendary human knight. Whenever Sircar the Bold or an instant or sorcery spell you control deals damage to a player, exile the top card of your library. You may play that card this turn. You can tap this card to deal 1 damage to any target. This card could be useful. There's definitely some practicality to it, definitely. I'm noticing that with the red cards, that seems to be a thing. Is that you exile top cards and you control. That seems to be something that's involved with the red cards more than anything else in this set right now. So I mean, it's interesting. By the way, I still haven't determined whether or not that Embercleave is actually supposed to be Excalibur or not. It is a legendary artifact, so it's quite possible. But until then, we'll figure it out at some point. If they make another sword that's Excalibur, then we'll know. Claim the Firstborn, which is essentially a Rumpelstiltskin. 1 red for an uncommon sorcery. Gain control of target creature would convert mana cost 3 or less until the end of turn. It gains haste and untap it. Essentially, a baby wouldn't be stronger than 3 no matter what it would be. So, obviously, steal the baby, but he eventually has to give it back. That's the way it works. It's fine. I would prefer a Act of Treason myself, but for 1 mana, it could be worse. Searing Barrage. I don't know what the hell the monster in this art is, but I need it. It's like it's some sort of monster with a gaping maw, but it's got all these like Brillo pad tendrils over it, like kind of like a Wobbegong shark. Really cool looking, but it's kind of got the design of a dragon or a serpent of some kind. Either way. Searing Barrage is 1 red, 4 of any color for an instant common. Deals 5 damage to target creature and has adamant. If at least 3 red mana was spent to cast this spell, deals 3 damage to a creature you control, or a creature that damage to that controller's creature. Yeah. Wait, what am I doing? Deals 3 damage to that creature's controller. Sorry, I was reading that wrong. So either you spend 5 to do 5 to a creature, or you spend 5 with red to do 5 damage to a creature and 3 damage to their face. For a common, that's not bad. That's not bad at all. I could see worse, definitely. I mean, it's expensive, but it's a common. What are you going to do? Last but not least, the last card of the day is Kenrith the Returned King, who's essentially King Arthur. And I say that because he has 5 abilities, 1 for each color, and 1 that keep going up the scale. So, he's a 1 white, 4 of any color for a 5/5 human legendary noble. You may pay 1 red, all creatures gain trample and haste till the end of turn. You may pay 1 of any color and a green to put a +1 counter on target creature. You may pay 2 of any color and a white, target player gains 5 life. You may pay 3 of any color and 1 blue, target player draws a card. Or you may pay 4 of any color and a black, put target creature card from a graveyard onto the battlefield under that creature's owner's control. None of these are tapped, which means this card's going to be seeing a lot of play in 5-color deck. This is a really good card. Now, again, going with sealed pre-release, I do not know if someone's going to be making a 5-color deck with this card in the pre-release. Maybe for the fun of it because they pulled the card. As it stands, though, I mean, 5/5 for 5 is a solid card, absolutely. More than likely, see, it's all going to be depending on what colors you want to play this guy with. Because here's the thing, he's going to do his best in either a all 5-color or 5-color deck, or in I'm going to say a white-green, a red-green, a white, or a Naya color deck. Because, I mean, a draw card is great but for 4 mana, there's probably better things you could be doing. The return target creature from the grave to the battlefield, fantastic, but it's got to be under the owner's control, so you better have some good creatures. Otherwise, you'll be able to put +1 counters on creatures as long as you got mana to do so, just for 2 mana. Then you can give them trample and haste. So, yeah, I'm also going to say Naya would be the best color combination for this card, or at least that's my thoughts on it. But what do you think? Put in the comments below, let me know. But thank you for watching. I hope you enjoyed. Like, comment, share, and subscribe. As always, you want us to review something, put in the comments below. Let us know. We'll do a review of it at some point. So I got a Lantern Corps video to do later. Wow, the light! I didn't even notice the light shining on me. I've had the camera off the whole time. Or not the camera off, but I didn't have the camera on because I had to have it off to look at the card. Sorry about that, folks. Anyway, I'll be back with a Lantern Corps video later on today. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time. Later.